Some staff members may need some help in how to stimulate and start conversations with the patients. A doctor and staff member who wants to provide excellent customer service will want to note on the patient's chart some information about their hobbies and interests. There's a copy of a form on page 8 in your handout that you should send out to new patients, so you have some information in their file regarding what some of their favorite points of interest are. I encourage you to start using these forms immediately in your office. By having this information on the patient, this helps the staff member to stimulate conversation about some of the things that are important to them. On the other hand, some people have a hard time exiting a conversation, especially when it's with the patient or parent. We have also included some tips on this on page 6. You never want the patient or parent to feel isolated. They need to be included in your conversations. Talk about how you can prevent staff members from standing around talking to each other versus spending time talking to the patients and parents, which creates an atmosphere of excellent customer service. If staff members are going to be talking to each other, it is important that they learn how to include the patients and parents in their conversations. For instance, if two staff members are discussing a favorite movie, simply turn to the patient and say, "Did you happen to see that movie? Did you enjoy it?" This will automatically pull the patient into the conversation. You also need to discuss as a team what types of conversations are appropriate for a professional office and what types are not. We have included some information on this in your handout on page 9. You want to keep conversations upbeat and positive. There again, creating good feelings for people while they are in your office. Orthodontic patients have a choice as to where they will have their treatment. You must make their experience in your office so exceptional that they choose you and tell their friends. You never have a second chance to make a good first impression. The first impression in your office is made on the telephone. Immediately after graduating from dental hygiene school, I went to work as a hygienist for a local dentist. During one particularly stressful day, I remember answering the telephone with something less than enthusiasm. The lady on the other end said, "Young lady, obviously you're having a bad day and it's not my fault." I answered back, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, and I apologize." I will never forget hanging up the phone that day. It was a turning point in my career. I realized that my attitude could have made us lose that patient. From that day forward, I made a conscious decision that no matter what was happening in the office, when I picked up the telephone, I would use my professional telephone voice and put on a smile on my face. I know that many of you watching this video have already made that decision and are excellent at making a good first impression when you pick up the telephone. I was fortunate because this particular patient told me how she felt. Most people will not tell you how they are feeling about their telephone experience. They will hang up the phone and call several of their friends to tell them, which is detrimental to referrals in the practice. Now let's talk about some telephone etiquette and how it relates to exceptional customer service. You will find information on this topic on pages 10 and 11 of your handout. The staff members who are answering the telephone in the office are definitely on the front line. They are the first customer service experts that your patients and parents meet. I called an office the other day and the staff member who answered said, "Good afternoon. It's a great day at Dr. Jones' office. This is Cindy. How may I help you?" I was quick to tell her that I loved that greeting, and I thought it was a wonderful thing to incorporate into the telephone script. It is a great day at Dr. Jones' office. It uplifted me and it made me feel good. And Cindy sounded so sincere when she said it. I definitely was looking forward to talking with her. What a difference in that greeting versus just saying, "Dr. Jones' office." So script a good greeting that incorporates the office name, your name, and preferably an uplifting message. It is also important to try to answer every call by the second ring. I understand this may be difficult for some offices that only have one person answering the phone. I prefer, in a situation like that you have a telephone system that automatically takes the caller to a nice voicemail recording after the third ring. Always identify yourself by name when answering the phone. No caller should ever have to ask you your name. If you need to put the caller on hold, make sure you have a nice message or music for them. If the person is left on hold for more than 30 seconds, hopefully you have a telephone system that will beep to remind you that the person is on hold. Get back to them and find out whether or not they would like to continue to hold. Let them know if they are in for a lengthy wait. For example, the doctor may be in the middle of a bonding or cementing some bands. Find out from the calling party if they would like to hold or would prefer to have their call returned as soon as possible. When someone says that they are returning a call to your office, do not ask them what they are calling about. This happens to me quite often when doctors call me while I'm traveling on consultations. I will return the call and say, "I'm Charlene White and I'm returning Dr. So-and-so's call." Then they proceed to ask me what the call is in reference to. Obviously, they were not listening to me because I told them initially that I was returning the doctor's call. Since I did not initiate the call to begin with, I don't know what it's in reference to. This does not create warm and fuzzy feelings for the caller. I know that many staff members have been trained to screen the doctor's calls, which is understandable. However, you have to use good listening skills in order to determine whether the call needs to be screened or not. Now, if the caller does not identify themselves, then you may politely ask, "Who may I say is calling?" Do not ask them specifically what they are calling about unless you have been asked to screen the calls for a particular reason. It's also helpful if the doctor lets the staff know if they are expecting returned calls. Make sure you have developed scripting for all new patient calls. All calls to your office are important, but remember that it is the new patients that put production on the books. Make sure that before a staff member is allowed to take new patient calls, that they go through a consistent training process. Role-playing is a great idea before they start answering the phone and handling new patient telephone calls. We have provided you with a sample form for this in your handout on pages 13 and 14. You may want to personalize or adjust it. It is a great basis for your script. In addition to taking new patient calls, make sure you have a form for staff members to use when taking calls for repair appointments. We have also included a sample of that on page 15. There again, the staff member needs to be trained to handle these calls properly. Here are some other basic but important tips on the telephone etiquette. Work to speak slowly and clearly into the mouthpiece. Don't chew gum, eat, or drink while using the telephone. Speak up. Don't use a weak voice. Don't speak to other people in the office while you're on the phone unless you place the caller on hold. I like to see offices that have a designated signal or perhaps a card they hold up when taking a new patient call. This ensures that they are not to be interrupted. If you do have caller ID, use good etiquette. Use the device to prepare for a call by identifying the source, but do not address the caller by name until they give it to you. Many people, especially those unfamiliar with caller ID, are flustered when you know who they are before they have told you. If you have a need to use a speakerphone, always ask and get permission before doing so. Your farewell greeting is as important as your welcome on the telephone. Always end your calls with, "Thank you for calling and have a nice day." That ends the conversation on a positive note. Replace the receiver onto the phone gently when ending the call, because the caller could still be listening. Even if the call has been somewhat irritating, a person who is into exceptional customer service never hangs up the phone in an angry manner. Work to avoid personal phone calls at work. People who strive for exceptional customer service want to make their patients the #1 priority during their working hours. Make sure that family members understand that they are to call you in case of an emergency situation only. Ongoing personal calls should be avoided at work. If you have voicemail, develop personalized, direct, and professional greetings. Check your voicemail on a regular basis and your email if you have that set up in your office. Make sure that your telephone messages give enough information and also allow the person to leave a message. Your hours of business and your emergency call numbers should be on your telephone message. When a new person is hired to join the team, they should receive a list of top referring doctors' names and key people who would be calling from those offices on a regular basis. This would also include oral surgeons and periodontists that the office refers to on a regular basis. Have a pop quiz or fun contest at your staff meetings to see how many staff members can name the top 10 referring offices for your practice. When these doctors or staff members are calling the office, they want to feel a sense of familiarity coming from a team member who exhibits exceptional customer service. Being able to chit-chat and establish a relationship with these people over the telephone is absolutely essential. When a top referring doctor calls on the telephone, they should feel a sense of exceptional customer service coming through to them. Make sure that they know you are going to make it a priority to get your doctor to the telephone to address their needs. This is an area that is weak in many offices and needs to be addressed. Many doctors have been offended and actually changed their referral patterns because they felt they were treated rudely or without a sense of familiarity when they called. If you want to establish exceptional customer service relationships with your referring offices, make the doctor and staff feel important. Learn to be intuitive to the customer on the telephone. If you can tell they are struggling to ask a question or to make a statement, very graciously help them. For example, a parent might call in and say, "Susie's wire is still in there, but two of those things are off her teeth." You would simply say something like, "Oh, I see, she has had two of the brackets come off." I'm not telling you to finish people's sentences as a normal practice, but in certain situations, people actually find that helpful. Offer up information to the customers. Don't make them drag it out of you. My final comment on the telephone etiquette goes back to our #1 customer service item. The most important part of customer service and answering the phone is to make sure that you have a smile on your face. Yes, it definitely comes across the phone line. Customer service studies have proven that 82% of your communication on the phone is determined by the tone of your voice, and only 18% by the words. It's not what you say, but how you say it that makes the big difference. Another way to make patients and parents feel important is to send them written correspondence. Many offices have a system in place where each staff member sends 3 care cards a day to patients. These care cards do not concern treatment. It's just a way of letting the patient know that you enjoyed seeing them that day. Possibly wish them luck on their soccer match or something personal that they had told you during the course of their conversation. These notes can also go to parents. As parents are mentioning things throughout the day, whether it be a job promotion, moving to a new area, or someone having a baby, make notes of these personal things. Then send cards or gifts if appropriate. It is a wonderful way to establish exceptional customer service in your office. You will be amazed at the positive response you will receive from something that only takes minutes to do. People appreciate these special touches, and they can't wait to tell their family or friends. A few sample notes have been provided for you on page 16. It is great if you have one person in particular in the office who oversees these cards and gifts. Empower this person with a budget for various items so she doesn't have to constantly get approval from the doctor. As I mentioned earlier in the tape, one of the key elements of creating exceptional customer service is creating an atmosphere where the surroundings and the image of the practice are exceptional. Image brings them to the door and quality keeps them there. Creating an exceptional image of the practice is a vital part of establishing exceptional customer service. People do not feel they have received exceptional customer service when they enter a place of business and the surroundings are out of date and untidy. We all know that a great experience for the female is to go to a restaurant, enter the bathroom, and find it both clean and visually appealing. Add a bathroom attendant and some fancy grooming products and we'll stay there all evening. This makes the female feel like the owner or proprietor of the business is paying attention to many other aspects of the business. Look at the image checklist in your handout on page 17, Together as a Team. Use this checklist to make sure you don't overlook any aspect of your office appearance. Another important part of your image is the attire of your team. I get questioned quite often about what is the preferred attire for the orthodontic staff members. I always respond with the question, are you receiving compliments on your staff attire now? If you are not receiving routine compliments on your staff attire, it means you need to improve the appearance of your uniforms. Once you reach a certain level of appearance with the uniforms, you will receive compliments, and then you know you have achieved the goal. Many offices have achieved that goal by purchasing good-looking scrubs or traditional matching outfits that everyone on the team wears. Other offices have the business staff wear more of a pantsuit or business suit attire, while the clinical team has a color-coordinated scrub or outfit for the treatment area. Many offices order their business attire or their matching outfits for the clinic through JCPenney's, Sears, Lands' End, Nordstrom's, or other mail-order catalogs. Many of the clinical staff members prefer to use an attractive scrub outfit that is color-coordinated to the business attire that day, where other clinical staff members prefer wearing matching pullovers with khakis. Whatever outfits you choose, there are still some basic standards that should be met. Take a look at page 18 in your handout. Setting standards for the outfits, the shoes, the makeup, hair, and jewelry are all important aspects of developing the best image in the office. When you close your eyes and create an image of the ideal professional orthodontic team member, you don't see a person with their hands in their pockets, smacking gum, wearing dangly jewelry, or someone that smells of cigarette smoke. In your mind, you see someone who has good posture, exceptional personal hygiene, good-looking fingernails, hair that's not falling in the face of their patients, a crisp-looking outfit that appears to be well-ironed and laundered, pins and name tags, and no perfume. Many patients are allergic to perfume, and it is important for people who work in a professional office to eliminate all perfume during the working day and save that for the evenings and for the weekends. Patients and parents do not want to see the doctor or the staff member constantly pushing their hair back. If you have longer hair, it should be pulled back in a professional manner so you are not putting your hands on your hair throughout the day. That can be a fun and cute look for going out in the evening. However, it is not appropriate in a professional office. Thousands of surveys have proven that the #1 reason for the success of IBM, which was established many years ago, was due to how their employees dressed. When IBM was in its prime, even the people who repaired the machines showed up in a coat and tie. It was one of the greatest success stories ever achieved based upon standards for employee attire. People have a preconceived image in their mind of what they expect an orthodontic staff member and an orthodontist to look like, just like they do for a banker or someone who works in a nightclub. If your image is not congruent with what that person thought it would be, then you will not connect. It does affect the communication and the customer service. You want people in your town to be talking about what a professional image the doctor's team has. It is wonderful to hear these positive comments in relation to the reputation of the practice. We are in the process of adding a component to our website that will incorporate photos of some of the best dressed offices that I consult with. Go to www.charlenewhite.com and check out these great looks.